Press play.
Replay, replay, replay.
You're watching Play Replay with Async. Today I want to talk about One Piece, the Netflix series. It took me a little while to get around to it, but I finally watched the whole show and I've heard good things about it, so I just wanted to give my thoughts on the show and kind of just do an overview. I'm not going to really give away any spoilers. I'm just going to kind of do a rough hitting the high points of what I thought was cool about the show. So, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and like the show if you enjoy what I do. It helps out the channel very much. So that being out of the way, I just wanted to kind of go over One Piece now. So, One Piece is a show that I did not expect to like. The trailers that I seen, I didn't really think were that great. I'm not into anime usually, so I don't really care about anything like that. It's just something I just never really thought I'd like, I guess. But the show, if you haven't watched it, is a pirate show, and it's basically set in a world that's very not like this world, I guess. It's got a lot of strange things like clothing that's similar to our clothing today. Shells and snails or whatever these things are that you can talk, like use for phones, and it's got a lot of pirate stuff and just a lot of different elements that kind of come together in a much different way than our society. So it's not really based in reality, obviously, because there's also characters that are like half human, half fish, half goat or whatever. Just different kinds of creatures that are in this world, and there's a bunch of stuff all mishmashed together. And when I think about it, I think, God, this is just too bizarre for me to, think it's cool. And when I first started watching it, if it wasn't for the main cast of characters, I don't think I would have continued watching it. I'll put it that way. Because the main cast of characters, well, first off, Luffy, the main character, I think it's like a Brazilian character in the anime. I think that's what he was based on, and the actor that is playing him in the show, he just comes off as so likable that I just enjoyed the show just on him alone, pretty much, because he's just got this positive outlook even when things are dark and not so great. And I think in society today, we need a lot more of this type of character. He just comes off as just a positive character that just you enjoy. And he starts off the show, basically, and the show kind of tells you his story through flashbacks and all this stuff. But you also get other characters that he meets up with, and he kind of just lets the characters he meets. And I did watch the anime, so I did kind of compare some of the stuff. It's different, but it's also the same enough to where it's like you can definitely see that they're copying the anime, the cartoons that they had. And trust me, there's a lot of them. There's like 1,000-something episodes. If you just were going to watch them all, I haven't watched them all. I've only watched like 3 to 5 maybe of them. I can't remember. But anyway, they follow the season. Season 1 follows pretty much the beginning of One Piece, the cartoon show, fairly well. It's different, but it's the same in a lot of ways too. But Luffy is cool because he ate this devil fruit or whatever that basically makes him like rubbery and he can stretch and all this stuff, kind of like Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four. And it's kind of cool because he can do things, and that makes him kind of not so afraid of dying, because he's got this he's not arrogant, but he just knows that he can battle somebody who's a lot tougher than him and probably win. And that's cool. And I think the way he's played in the show and the actor that plays him so well, and him matching up to the cartoon version, I think that he comes off as pretty good for Luffy. I think they did a great job. He looks like him. They kept the same kind of outfits, everything. He's even got the hat. Everything is pretty much the same. But I'm not going to break down episode by episode, so I don't want to get into all that. But I just wanted to get the point across that this show really is developed. First off, the story is much more entertaining. You get more information explained to you quickly in this show than anything you'll see at Disney, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Ahsoka, you have to watch all these seasons of Rebels, Clone Wars, and all this stuff, these cartoons, in order to understand what's going on in the Ahsoka show for Star Wars, which is insane that they would require so much homework just to watch that show. Whereas One Piece, the Netflix show, you don't have to do all that homework. You can, and it's actually a benefit if you do. But the show on Netflix, you could straight up just start watching it, and you don't have to go to the One Piece cartoon or read all the animes. You don't have to go through all that. It tells you everything up front in the show. And that is just genius in itself. And the show doesn't have a lot of messaging that's kind of beating you over the head like some of these other shows do. It just kind of goes, and you just kind of go along with it. Now, there's some things that I think are kind of corny, like everyone seems to have colored hair that's not natural almost. But whatever, it's supposed to be a cartoon anime. I can kind of see that. The cartoon is pretty off the wall and insane. So if you watch the show and you see these things, you're kind of like, at least it's a somewhat tamed down in the show. But there are some crazy elements in the show too, like half shark and half human, half fish, half human people that show up in it. And they're just basically the character out of that cartoon. So you're basically portraying the cartoon in reality. So you have to kind of go with it, I guess. But because of the characters in the main cast are so likable, you do go with it, and you're just like, well, this is. And then there's also some very well thought out, like compassion, like stories that'll make you feel in this season. So it's very cool. Like you see like Zoro, he's the guy who has 3 swords. You'll actually see a story with him and this younger girl when he was younger, and he wants to be like the best swordsman ever, and he realized he can't seem to beat this girl that he's fighting, that he has to like he's trying to beat her to be the best swordsman. And for some reason, he can't do it, whatever. And then they kind of get into it. And then she basically says something that is so anti-woke, as far as I'm concerned. She says that you can beat you could beat me, or you can't beat me right now. But as a man, the men will always beat the women. And it's like, whoa. that somebody's head had to explode somewhere when they actually released this show, because that basically goes against this feminist agenda where they have to tell you that you have to basically submit to a woman as a man because you're a bad person or something if you're just a manly dude. But the character was great, and the girl was great too. I thought everything was right. And then there's also another sequence in this show where you just get a lot of these great stories. The characters have a lot more depth, and you get more out of the characters, and you see their history and kind of their stuff that made them the way they are. And it's explained in an easy to understand way, and it's not beating you over the head with anything. It's just kind of there. And yeah, they did do some race swaps in some of these characters in the show, but I don't think that really changes anything in the story. It doesn't really do much difference. And I do know that one of the race swaps isn't really a race swap, because in the anime, the main creator said he's supposed to be from Africa. So it's like, he's supposed to be a black dude. I don't know why people are kind of off about him. And I thought he was a decent guy, and he kind of looks the part too. He's not a bad actor either. So it's like, I don't know. There's some things that I've seen people complaining about like, they say that there's social justice stuff in there, and I could see that. And one of the main characters is all of the characters, I guess, are all pretty much the way they should be. I don't think that there's too much girl power for like Nomi or whatever her name is, and she's kind of a girl, like tough girl. But then you see why in the later part of the season. If you just stick through the season, you actually see some very good character development with her, and she actually does break down, and she actually asks Luffy for help. And I mean, this is in the cartoon too, but and it's just cool because then it becomes like a family. Like she's like part of this family, and she just was being tough, trying to hide all the crap that she's going through, and then she finally asks for help. And it's just this great redemptive thing where you're just like, wow, this girl really needed help. And then Luffy and the rest of his crew are just like, of course we will. You know, it's just such a great moment. Now, I mean, that might be a spoiler, I guess, but if you watch the cartoon and if you watch the show, it's all in that. It's in both. So it's just something that I thought was very cool in developing her and making her more likable. But I don't want to talk about this show forever. I just want to kind of give an overview of One Piece and say, yes, I would definitely say watch this. A lot of people have already watched it, so who am I to, sway anyone? But for me, I just didn't think I would like this. I do like pirate stuff sometimes, but I didn't think that I would like this kind of pirate stuff. But it's a pretty good show. It has a great elements of story building and character development. I just think it's a great show, and I think you should watch it, and I think that everyone that watches it, if they give it a chance, I think a lot of people will enjoy this. So like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.